Hi there. This is a quick video on finding scatter plots and correlation coefficients. We are working with the serial data, and we were asked to find the correlation between sugar and the CR ratings and sodium versus the CR ratings. So here are the columns that I want to keep. Anything else I want to get rid of, but I don't want to get rid of it here from our original set of data. So I'm going to go and duplicate this sheet, and then I'm going to just rename this Module 11.8. So now that I have that, and I'm in Module 11.8, I can mess around with the data and not worry about losing any information that I might need for later. So I've highlighted the first 10 columns without the sodium and sugar and CR ratings, and I'm going to right click and delete those columns. Let's go back. I don't need vitamins, so I'm going to click on that column and delete that. And then everything else here I don't need, so we can delete that as well. So now I'm into my bare bones data set, and we want to find the scatter plot. So I want to find the scatter plot between the sugar and the CR ratings. So if I highlight sugar and then I click and drag, so that's in one swoop. I'm not clicking it and trying to drag it. I'm actually clicking and dragging in one motion. Now I have sugar and CR ratings highlighted, and I highlighted sugar first, so I think this is going to be smart enough to say if I insert a chart, the best option that it's going to give me is a scatter plot with the sugars as my X, or explanatory variables, and my CR ratings as my Y, or response variables. I can customize it here now, or I can customize it later. I'll just insert, and I want to get rid of this, so I can just right click and clear the legend. So this is our CR ratings, and if we were to take a guess what the R value would be, it looks like it would at least be negative. It looks like it has a fairly strong correlation. So let's actually find out the CR ratings and the sugar correlation. So I'm going to label this as sugar versus CR ratings, and then this would be my correlation coefficient. Okay, to actually find your R value, remember these are called R values, I'm going to click on the cell. I'm going to say equals, and then I want to type COR, and then I can see that it's Corel is my function. It's asking for my data in the y-axis, so my CR ratings is the data in the y. I'll just click on C, the whole column, not CR rating, but C. Click on that, comma, and then click on the X value, X data, that would be the sugars, and then I'll close the parentheses and hit enter, and I get a negative 0.759. Pretty strong correlation, based on, especially based on looking at this data set. It does look like it, so we're good. Now I want to find the scatter plot for the sodium and the CR ratings. So for this, I'm going to click on the sodium column, and instead of shift, I'm going to hit control. If you're using a Mac, you're going to press the Apple key, and then I'll click on the C. So I have two columns that are highlighted that are not next to each other. Now I'm going to insert a chart. Now, because this isn't right next to each other, it's going to give me other chart types. So these are the recommendations. But if you go to chart types, it's going to give you other possibilities. And the scatter is what we want. So I'll click on the scatter plot. And I have my sodium labeled here. Notice my name here is not what I want. So I can customize that now or later. Let's do it now. Let's customize this and let's change the title of the histogram or of the scatter plot as sodium versus CR ratings. And I also don't have a label, I notice, for my vertical axis. So let's go to axis. It says horizontal. I'll change that to left vertical, and my title here should be CR ratings. Okay, I usually want to get rid of that legend, so I'm going to get that legend and say none so that that's gone, and I'll press insert. And so I have this compared to my CR ratings for sugar. It looks like this is going to have a weaker correlation than the other one just by looking at the two graphs. But we can actually find the correlation coefficient. So let's set this one up. Sodium versus CR ratings. And then again, the command for this is equals correl, open parentheses, the Y data, comma, and then I'll click on the sodium this time, the X data, close parentheses and enter, and I have a correlation of negative 0.4. Okay, now I want to take this and save it onto a new document. So I'm going to go back to my home page here, and I'm going to say a new Google Doc. And this is Module 11.8. And I'll type my name, the semester, and maybe the title. And so let's take a look at the research question. So here is our Module 11.8, and the research question is for samples of cereal. Describe the relationship between the sugar content versus the consumer ratings, and then the relationship between the sodium content and the consumer ratings. Which relationship has a stronger association? So I'm just going to go ahead and copy all of this and then paste it as a research question. Okay, now I want to include my my graphs that I just created. So I'm going to say insert, and it's a chart from a sheet. And again, it would insert, give you the chart of the sheet that's the latest that you've done. And then here are the two sheets that we're looking at. So I'll put the sugar in first. Let's click and import. And then I'm going to put in the other one. Insert chart from a sheet, the serial data, and I'll click the sodium, import. Now remember, we want it side by side, so let's make it a little smaller. That's kind of close, a little bit more for this one. Oh, I need to actually have it side by side. So try to just size it up so that it just fits just right and have it as big as possible. Now you can probably adjust the margins also on your document. Alright, so let's say that's good, and we want to also create a table. Now we have this table over here, but we want to say R is equal to, or maybe we can just write that in our paragraph. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and then paste it on to our document here, so we have the correlation coefficient information. Just to make it look a little nicer, let's center this. wherever the centering is. So centered, oops, let's highlight this whole thing, maybe a few paragraphs worth, and let's try to center that. Nope, it didn't center. Well, whatever you can do to make it look a little nicer. I think if we move this, all right. This is probably more work than what's needed here. So in any case, we have our information. And so now, let's justify this to the right again, or to the left. And now we can start typing your conclusions or your analysis. So remember, if you read through the project or the assignment, we want to develop a thesis statement that addresses the research question, and then make observations about the form, the direction, and the strength of each of the scatter plots, and then do your comparison. If there are any outliers, you might want to identify that, and then explain how the observations support your thesis. So I think in this case that the relation between the sugar and the Consumer Reports ratings have a stronger association than the sodium and the Consumer Reports ratings. Okay, so that's a thesis statement. You can get started with that or something similar to that, and then make observations about the strength and the direction and the form of each of these. There might be an outlier over here with a high rating and a medium high 100 plus sodium, milligrams of sodium, so you can make a comment about that as well. And you can probably figure out from the data set which one that is, because it has a Consumer Reports ratings of probably in the 90s. Okay, I hope that's enough to get you going, and this assignment is due on Thursday. Good luck.